Welcome to Tea and Trails podcast from Snowdonia. We've just come down from our third summit. We're all training for UTMB. Enjoy! Woo!
This week's intro comes from three loons in Snowdonia. Yes, Sophie, Tamsin and Paul as they prepared for the UTMB. It looks like Sophie and Tamsin had a blast. But you know Sophie, don't you, Eddie?
Oh, I know Sophie. And she did a sensational buckle of the Mont Blanc. Highs and lows, but she did her and Tamsin. And another wonderful story of friendship, Gary, because they both had their highs and lows. They had some adventures, not my story to tell, but they looked after each other and they finished. I was watching the live feed and they finished holding hands together. It gets me this. It gets me this. You make friends out on the trail and then you do these big events. You train for these big adventures and then you finish, you look after each other. There's a certain something about that friendship that you cannot create anywhere else in your life when you're an adult, isn't there?
Yeah, I love it. I love trail friends, especially when you train and race together. That's awesome. I love the UTMB, my goodness me, the infrastructure, that live feed and all the various checkpoints they do. If you were tracking an athlete, a friend, they do a sensational job. Welcome to episode 87 of the Tea and Trails podcast. This week we chat with Lawrence Basham. Lakeland 50 and Lakeland 100 runners will remember Lawrence from the race brief. He shared wise and emotional words with us before we set off on our adventure. I think the words resonated with most in that room, even if they were not religious. He's not only a reverend, he's pretty tasty on the fells and trails too. We're about catch up and we pop over to Strava too.
I apologise if you're watching on YouTube. You didn't notice, Gary, because you were in your flow. But my microphone knocked the keyboard because it fell over and then it deleted everything you were saying. And I decided, all it says now in the box of the thing you're just reading is G.
Oh my goodness, I'm like Ron Jeremy. You could put anything in front of me, Eddie, and I'd read it.
So I wasn't daring to move in case when I press enter, all that lovely text was Thank you to our Patreon partners who share discount codes with all our wonderful patrons. We have Precision Fuel and Hydration, Velo Forte, Protein Rebel, Tiki Boot, Mountain Fuel, Outdoor Active, Silver Sweden, Active Route, the Centurion Running Store, sportshoes.com. Use my Patreon discount only last week. Hashtag not a patron. Big Body Rats, X Miles, Frontside Run Cottages, Yukoku Projects, Hellfire Events, Redbird Sports, the Albonat, Retainer Group, Cycle Protection, Summit Crazy, Beat It Sports, Lumia Activewear, Phoenix Lights UK, Bridgedale Socks, Nav4, NAC Nutrition, and Ultra Trail 2. Extra shout out to Precision Fuel and Hydration and Protein Rebel. We use their products every day. Let's not lie. I've already had a 1,500 electrolyte tab this morning, and there is another one. A lot. The only problem is when you put the tablet in and you're thirsty, it takes a while to dissolve. And now you're a member of the 5 a.m. club. You can pre-prepare your bottles.
It's a terrible idea, this 5 a.m. club. I'm not too sure why I said it. If you would like to save some money, support the podcast and our partners, then please consider joining Patreon. We couldn't do this without you guys. Also, pop over to Summit Crazy if you would like to buy some awesome Tea and Trails merch.
I can see some buff hype and some hat hypes in Facebook about people going to do the lap this weekend wearing their buffs. My buff is in the wash after an incident out on the trails, and let's just leave it at that. Thank you to Precision Fuel Hydration.
You brought it home, oh my goodness.
And Protein Rebel for sponsoring this week's show. Patreons, don't forget you can get 15% off over at Precision Fuel and Hydration. Also, if you'd like to try some Precision Fuel and Hydration, new customers can get 15% off their first order with the code CapsLockT24. New Protein Rebel customers can also enjoy 15% off with the code T15. And that's not all caps, but a capital T. Links to all our sponsors can be found in the show notes over at www.teaandtrails.com.
It's next week's deets, really, but I had 2 big days on the trails, Monday and Tuesday. 17 valleys? There's not 17. Is there 17 or 13? I've got all confused. I hope there's 13 valleys. Yeah, I tried the Precision Fuel and Hydration carb and electrolyte drink. I've been new to that product just after my Lakeland 100 nutrition fiasco. So yeah, that was good. And what happened a couple of times was I missed the prompt and I forgot to take a gel or a chew, and just having that bit of carb, you just didn't drift too far from your nutrition targets. But I was really worried when I started eating the chews, just if it was going to trigger anything from Lakeland 100. But yeah, all happy to report. No dramas on the trails. And it was good because I saw, oh my goodness, it was Andy Blow, I think, shared a Precision Fuel and Hydration story over on Instagram. And it was basically one of the mistakes was not practicing your race fuel at around race pace. So good, super good test. 2 days, Monday and Tuesday. Knowing me, Gary Thwaites. Knowing you, Edwina Sutton. Aha!
Oh, it's so funny. My kids have also been watching Gavin and Stacey, which is really good, but there is some highly inappropriate content within it as well. They love the story, and they of course they love all the Welsh accents because we are a family of many international accents. Now my eldest keeps going, all right, Ness. He calls me Ness. All right, Ness. I'm not sure. Thanks very much. But anything that Rob Brydon does is just brilliant. I just love it. It makes me laugh so much. Looking forward to the Christmas episode of What Happens with.
They were out filming in Wales, and they were obviously supposed to be in Christmas for when the show goes out, but they're all in the middle of summer down in Wales, so then they were all red up pretending it was winter.
It's hard work being a media person, isn't it, Gary? Right, let's get stuck in. I'm not going to talk as much this week. I've got a bit of a cold. I'm feeling a bit weary.
We'll see how that goes. I'll just get comfy.
Sit back, relax. How are you feeling? How are you easing into that run? I tell you what, Gary, took me 37 minutes of running today to stop whining in my head about the fact that I was doing a 90-minute run.
That's a long run, isn't it? Just gone past that hour, 15 minutes, 90 minutes. It's like, yeah, got to think about that.
I've got to put a little bit of mental work into this because you're going to get to 40 minutes and go, surely it's time to go home. Yeah. And it's just that. Longer. And
do you have this? Sorry, do you have this when if I do a local run, say if I've got a 4-hour run, for example, at the weekend, and I can't go to the lakes, and I've got to do that at home, that's a big mental load to do 4 hours local. But if I was to drive to the lakes or somewhere else, the moors, I wouldn't think anything of a 4-hour run. Yeah,
I'm trying to be adventurous with my runs, and it's easier here because I'm in a new place, so I just keep trying to find new runs. So if I'm doing a new run, it's fine. But when I'm doing old routes for a long run, oh my God, they're mentally like, when you're doing your everyday route, that's fine. You can run an hour on this. I can run the same hour loop. Yeah, I almost find comfort in that. You have your half hour, your 45 minute. If I do that little bit extra bit, that gets me an hour, even a 90-minute loop. But finding 4 hours on your local trails where that's where you live anyway. Oof, that's mentally hard, and it never gets any easier. You'd think if you flex that mental muscle enough times, you'd be like, oh, but it's like a 20-mile run. We always say that, isn't it? It never gets any easier. You do 20 miles, you're absolutely bedoodled for the rest of the day. Anyway, so I've had a few. I suppose I've got a few things I could talk about. All right then. So I went to see a podiatrist. Ongoing issue with my ankle. I want to get to the bottom of it, and I was just saving it up for the summer. My ankle has been troublesome for me. It's since COVID time, when I basically ski toured for a winter. I think it's that's pre-podcast, and I didn't run hardly at all, and I just ski toured, and I think I rubbed the back of my ankle so bad, and then since then it's never quite been the same. The ankle's never quite been the same, never had quite the same flexibility. The only answer really was to go and get an MRI, and I never could be bothered to actually go and do that. So anyway, I decided to go and see a podiatrist to see if there was something going on in my gait. Also had a summer of little niggles creeping in. What's going on? Why is my body falling apart? I seem to be doing everything else right. So I thought there must be something I'm like, you always do this. There must be something. There must be something in my gait or something. So I booked it. I had to wait quite a long time for this appointment to go and have my gait checked, go and see if there was any underlying problem, have a good look at my ankle, have a look at my foot. Anyway, went along, lovely, lovely Scottish doctor, and got all those bubbles on me, stuck stuff all over me, got on a computer thing so he could see. If you've ever done one of these, they go, so what sort of speed is like your easy running speed? And I was like, whoa, Eddie.
It's not a competition, Eddie.
What does everybody else say? Like, oh, the big guy, like, how fast is he? And then it's like, well, is this easy? And then anyway, and then at the same time, this computer model of me, I mean, I looked sensational because all it is your bones. It's like, geez, I'm in good shape here. You can see your bones running, and at the same time, it's coming up with like green, red lights. This is good. This is bad.
Yeah,
it blew my mind a bit. Anyway, he tested every muscle I have in my body. I mean, literally every muscle I could move out in flex. It was endless. It was 2 hours.
How long did it last for? Oh, wow. Okay.
2 hours worth of testing. I was exhausted. I'd done my run in the morning. Wish I hadn't. But anyway, it was really good. It was really nice. I love all that science. And when he started explaining, so we did the run and he said, right, stay on the treadmill, look at the big screen ahead of you, and I'm going to show you everything. We're going to go through every single thing that came up with, and we're going to, you compare yourself to the average person of your same weight and height, and you can compare everything. And we went through it all, and I was like, I love all this. I love all this. Do you want to know the findings? Should we save it for the next podcast? No jokes, I'll tell you now. He said, Gary, I'll only tell you this. I won't tell everybody this.
Okay.
He said, I've done thousands and thousands of these. I've been doing this for a long time. That is the best gait analysis I have ever seen.
10 out of 10, Eddie.
And he said there is literally, your gait is perfection. He didn't go as far, but I think he wanted to say.
He wanted to say. Okay, so if it's perfection, then why the pain?
So we'll get into that bit. Now, just because keep on this bit for a bit. It's like the strength, like I was that by now.
You're just making stuff up now.
I was like, can you just record that onto my proposal? So I was like, well, I'm pleased because I've run my whole life. I've played sport my whole life. I've worked hard on my strength work as well. So I should, if he'd said there's a massive weakness in your left glute, I would be like, how can there be? This can't be right. But and I've had 3 children. He's like, you're totally balanced. Everything's balanced. Everything is but he's so good at his job. It's like there's a very slight bit in the ankle we can see in the dorsiflexion where you're holding on to this foot a little bit longer than the other foot. We can see where the ankle's stiff. He zoomed right in. It's incredible. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Anyways, we did a lot. My ankle is really, really stiff. So we did a lot of work. He's given me lots of exercises. He lifted my trainer up a tiny, about a millimeter. No, maybe 3 millimeters up. Since then, Gary, no pain.
That's
pain.
Amazing.
So I have been in pain with this ankle. It has been niggling at me for a few years. Not enough to ever, a couple of times it's got but not enough that ever but it's definitely always been in the background. He lifted my ankle up slightly and maybe a bit of reassurance that it's actually really stiff. He gave me some ankle mobility work. So immediately, of course, I'm a bit of a good student. So I started doing that religiously. Since then, 2 weeks later, I'd be like, it gets so stiff. When I went for a long run afterwards, I'd be pretty crippled with it. Okay. So I'm walking again, I'd be really stiff. But literally, I think as well, he did say, the uphill on an ankle that's not working properly, all that uphill you've been doing. And of course, I've been doing a lot less hiking, a lot more running uphill and less steep uphill. He said, that's really good. That's so much better for your body. Is it a change in footwear too? Would that be advised or? Maybe I've been trying, I've been running in some Hokas instead of my beloved North Faces for a little bit. So maybe that as well. And I've been running in a road shoe a lot more than a trail shoe as well. Whether that's been happening. Anyway.
And when you lifted the heel up, was it the whole foot? If you were to wear some shoes, it would, so you could have a higher stacked shoe.
Yeah, it's just the heel. And we did some tests and I could get deeper in the squat. And I know it's all dull for everybody, but it's just interesting. And it was also really nice to hear somebody go, it's, when you expect to go to a physio or whatever, for you to go, you need to do this, you need to do this. And he was like, you are super strong. I just liked it because, we do this mega long stuff. It's really nice when someone goes, you can do this stuff because you are, the gait is there. You are made for endurance running because you don't actually have anything that over a long period of time is going to kick in. You're strong, confident woman.
Oh my God, to see one of these people. That sounds awesome. And then, unless they said I was dreadful. You're the worst I've ever seen.
He would say that. But it also, I have to go. So I was watching a match yesterday of the kids and I was like, right, calf raises, got to do my calf raises, got to do my calf raises, got to do my ankle flexion. It's all a lot to fit in. It's all a lot. It's
non-stop, Eddie. It's non-stop. It's exhausting.
I'm refusing to add it to my daily load. I'm like, nope, I just do it. I make sure I do it every day, but I'm just going to do it when I can. I'm not going right, oh my God, I haven't done I just do it. And it might not be back to back. So that was fun, really interesting. Love the science. I love the science. And it's been a lot coming back from 3 children. It was a lot coming back from 1, from 2, but I tell you what, coming back from 3, that has been really hard. 3 with an older body, a battered body, and with 3 kids. I've had to work super hard to get my core and my strength back, but it can be done. And so I'm really happy that because I am a role model to people, because I coach a lot of people. I coach a lot of women that come back from having babies. And so I like to lead by example. So I'm happy that the body is there. I'd imagine
3 kids, what that would do to a body.
Well, here I am, look hot, look bikini weight time of the year. So that was good. I'm really pleased. And now I just need to get the ankle's fine. Now the knee hurts. I just need my knee. Anyway, that's another point. I did a unplanned, we had another love long run. I sold it as slightly less.
Yeah.
I thought it was about 12 miles. He said, I'll do 12 miles with you. I'm not doing any further. And I thought, okay, I'm going to plan 15. Well, it was a boiling hot day. This was unprecedented in Scotland. It was near on 30 degrees, if not a bit hotter. Anyway.
Still hanging on to those summer days. It's lovely.
I love it. Anyway, we set off. We had packs. We had full water. As we got the dogs out of the car, the farmer came down to Land Rover and he was like, there's loads of sheep on the moor. You put those dogs on the lead. All right, just gather yourself a bit
Chill out. Yeah.
Chill out, Shep. We'll get them on the lead. They're just doing a wee. So we didn't have their harnesses. We just had their handheld leads. The sheep farmer was right. And we got onto the moor and there was sheep everywhere and the dogs were dogs. We would never have let them off the lead anyway, but it was really hot as well. We were trying to run. There was lots of water, but Lindy was literally like cutting across her windpipe because she was like, sheep. So it wasn't huge fun. And then I was like, Bryn's really hurting my knee. So he said, I'll take them both. What a hero. And so off we go. But then he gets 2 tugs. And I'm like, I can't keep up. The day before, I couldn't keep up. We climbed up and then we were going to drop down the other side. It was just an out and back run. The drop down was really steep. There were sheep everywhere. And Bryn said, do you know what? No thanks.
That's terrible with dogs. That is terrible with dogs.
Awful. It's awful. It would have been awesome without the dogs. Lovely, grassy, switchback descent, sensational. But with the dogs, I was like, they're going to pull my arm off, and it's not good for them. So we turned around about 4.5 miles and turned around and came back. And it was very super easy pace because, as you know as well, when it's hot with dogs, you have to stop every 10 seconds because they are idiots and they can't control themselves and they need to.
Oh my goodness me, they'll just run themselves into the ground.
They are, yes. So only fair, we stopped lots as well. So as we're going back to the car, he said, well, you could run home if you want. Because I said, I'll just do my long run tomorrow. We'll just count this as an easy run and I'll just run. He said, no, why don't you just run home? So then I looked at that as a challenge. And I thought, why don't we have enough fuel or water to run home? But that's okay, a bit of training. I knew there was a Diet Coke in the car, that'll do. I said, what have you got left? He said, a penguin. I thought, that could do as well, Diet Coke and a penguin. I'm sure precision vibration would say that'll suffice.
I missed. I don't know if I missed that. How long would it have been from the car to home?
So we didn't know. So we started going back to the car. We didn't have any signal, and then it was just on a road, but it was a lovely road. Like it's just a Scottish, like through the moor. It wasn't a chore to run on this road, or so I thought. Yeah, come on, that will mean you've done like 19 miles, long run done. Don't need to do it tomorrow. Kids are at school. Let's just do it, Eddie. Quite excited about the idea of that. So we got back to the car, stocked up with my Diet Coke and my Penguin, fueling of champions. Checked on Google Maps. Yeah, it's 11.8 miles or something. We're in that school. You go. He said, I'll go and get the what a hero. I'll go and get the kids. You finish your long run. Car pulls away. I'm a little sad in that moment when he drives away, and I think, this is a terrible idea. Got onto the road. Gary, I don't you know the tarmac was melting. It was so hot. It was the heat was like reflecting up the road. I had maybe like an inch of water in one bottle, a Diet Coke that was being shaken up and down, and a very melted Penguin. Started running. About 10 minutes later, my WhatsApp beeped, and Bryn said, "It's all uphill." It's all uphill till you reach the little crest to go down into Hoe. I said, "There's quite a lot of motorbikes. I'll come and get you." I was like, no way, I'm in this now. Secretly loving this, even though I was dying. I was trying to like run, come on, Eddie, move your butt cheeks a little bit. But every time we went uphill, I was so hot. I'd be like, I'm going to have to start walking at that signpost. And like, I was like, this is good practice for heat management. But also, I don't think I could carry on running. I am so hot. I don't know what to do with myself. I could see like little burns, but I couldn't get to anything. Someone might stop in a minute and go, just hand a cold iron brew out.
Sensational.
Here you go. You look really hot. Anyway, I ran up and up, and it was 1,000 feet up, like a couple of miles. It was pretty pitchy.
So when you drove in, though, did you not really appreciate it?
No, we didn't realise. We were like looking for this route. We didn't really appreciate it. But as soon as I got out on this road, I could see it winding through, and I thought, it is all uphill. On a cool day, it would be fine, but because it was so hot, there was no shade, so I had to really chunk it. Be like, come on, another little slick of the Penguin. It got up to the top of the moor before it drops down, and I thought, I'm going to stop here. I'm going to have some chews, because I had 2 chews left, and I thought I'm going to save them for the last 3 miles downhill. There's no shade. Sat in a bit of bracken, and the van did stop, and he was like, "You're right there." I thought, how hot am I? Not in a hot way, but in a hot, like, would I get in this guy's van because he's got some shade and possibly air conditioning? I could risk my life. And I thought, no. I thought, I better get up, start moving. Anyway, I was fine. I got home. Bryn had done the weekly shop and had bought, instead of Robinson's apple and blackcurrant sugar-free squash, which is my favourite, don't come at me, I like it, he'd bought Vimto, Gary.
Legendary stuff.
Do you like that?
I was brought up on Vimto.
Probably he was as well. That's why I bought it. So I thought I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait. I'm going to drink like 4 pints of this squash.
You don't like it?
Oh my God, it was the most disgusting thing. I was so disappointed.
I'm disappointed in you. That's terrible. That's terrible form. It's the best drink ever.
It was, he got a rude WhatsApp message, but he did save me. Anyway, and then to winning part of this long run, he said, "I'm still at school. Sorry, got held up. I'm not even left yet." And I was home. I had 45 minutes, Gary, of post-run freedom. And I have a shower? Oh, no. I just put the kettle on, made my protein shake, and I just put on Emily in Paris season 4, and I feasted on it for 2 episodes. They all came back. They were like, "Mum, you haven't even had a shower." No, I haven't. I laid here. And then we went straight to the fish and chip shop. Didn't even have a shower.
What's your chip? Because you're not keen on fish. What's your meal?
It's a veggie burger, and it wasn't good, Gary. But I was so hungry after the Penguin and Diet Coke debacle that, frankly, they could have handed me a sort of fried up toenail, and I'd have gone, "That'll be great." Anyway,
It reminds me
was,
of that run out of Keld I did, the way that you described that.
it was exactly like that. That is what I thought. It was like that road where it's a bit never ending. There's no landmarks as well.
You all drove off. I was like, bye.
Oh my God. Yeah, but I was running in like, even though it was hot, it was beautiful. You were running in like the dark.
Oh, goodness me.
Ooh, those
Good
were the
training.
days.
Well, kudos for actually running home. I'm not too sure if Lisa was driving off. I think I'd have just, the way my head is at the moment, I would have definitely came back with Lisa.
No, but I thought, then I don't have to get up tomorrow and do this long run. It's done. It's there. It's being handed to me on a plate. Just get it done. So it was a good week. I did 6 by 3 minutes, hard effort. We talked about that. You weren't impressed with my speed. 2 gyms and 3 by 12 minutes uphill.
That's a big session, 3 times 12. Yeah, 36 minutes of graft.
I made a terrible error, and I had my normal breakfast, but I didn't take any fuel with me, and I'd had a bit of time. And so by the time I finished that, Bryn was running up the hill on just like a little half-hour jog, and I was he said, do you want to carry on up to the peak? I literally was bonking harder than, and not in a good way. I was so low, and I did take a gel, wasn't enough. The rest of the day I was absolutely ruined. And I thought, I'm going to go on Strava and see what the Strava record. So it's 1 mile, average 10%. And I was looking at my grade adjusted pace on my watch, and I was doing it, and I was trying to get something, minute mile, I was trying to get something with a 7 in, like a low 7 minutes effort up this hill as a grade adjusted pace. The women's record on it is 7 minutes 11. How?
You think it's on a pedal bike?
How has she run that fast? Or am I just really slow? I was getting like 10 minute 30, I think. Strava's
some people do attack a segment, like they'll maybe deliberately go on the run to do the segment, and even I didn't even know this was a thing. But
I don't think I could get up there in 7 minutes if I attacked. Attack. Also, I was fine. I made myself feel better because like you never know. Like sometimes if you're standing on the Strava segment, it'll start it even though you've not started it.
You can do this. I didn't realize this was a thing, but you can have on your watch. It can alert you when the segment's coming, so you know to.
I've got a friend that does that. She knows who she is. Her watch beeps whenever we go out. We all tease her because it's like, we know how you get all those crowds. Maybe that's what I need to do. I need to be better. Anyway, 12 minutes is long, but then I had to jog down after each one. And that mentally was really challenging because get to the top. Good. I enjoyed it. I love a lot. You know me, Gary. I love a long grind. Get to the top. Absolute 165 heart rate, absolutely. But then by the time you get back down, you almost cool down. So, but good. That was a good session, good week, pretty tired by the end of that, and had Sunday as a rest day. Oh, so anything better than a weekend day as a rest day. Sadly, I was single parenting and juggling tired children, homework and pickups. But anyway, so that was my weekend. Only, that was just a short recap, one of my very short.
This is how we do a short recap, Eddie. Watch this.
Okay,
well,
hit it.
It was another. It just feels like now I'm super sensitive to it because the running has been so inconsistent for what feels like 4 weeks. It probably isn't 4 weeks. Well, after Lakeland 100, there was 2 weeks of doing nothing, which is, appropriate and fair. And then maybe a week or 2 of doing not much. And then I thought I was going to jump into training again, but then straight into 2 weeks of holiday, then a week of clearing my dad's house out and then going up to Edinburgh with Esme. So yeah, it's just the way it is. But it's really sitting badly with me mentally. But yeah, it was just another epic week of juggling, just trying to do my best. Not a load of running. And it's quite interesting because I'm on the taper for 13 Valleys. And these weeks coming up are going to be a higher load than probably the last, if I follow the plan faithfully.
But I have a few people that, that's the way life swung a bit. And so, we talked about the taper last week about it being individualized for each person, but also each event. And you're not carrying a ton of fatigue into this, not physical, maybe quite a lot of mental fatigue. So you don't need that heavy. You're not going, oh God, like you were before Manchester, you're going to need a 3-week taper.
Oh God, I was exhausted then. So it's not ideal, but I did manage a session. Fair enough, I didn't do the long run, but I did the 40-minute uphill treadmill. Plastic elevation, as Robbo coins it. And that was graft, proper sweaty graft. I loved it. And yeah, I've mentioned mental health a few times. It really did help me mentally because it just felt like that was a proper workout. I hadn't done anything significant for probably, say, 3 weeks. So yeah, just to get that session in the bank, yeah, just super happy with that. The rest of it was easy miles. We went up to Edinburgh to 10 miles around the canals and the river around Edinburgh. I absolutely love that. Anytime you do new trails, it's just such a treat. And you just discover stuff. You know, I think I did an Instagram story, went through some tunnel. I'm blanking on the name. And yes, some listeners live up there too. So I didn't, but yeah, it would have been nice if I bumped into a few listeners on the trails. I didn't run on the Sunday. I just binned it off in the morning. I just wanted an extra hour and a half in bed. So I saved myself for a little reunion run with little Rexy. Yeah, it was awesome times. And what was really nice with the kennels, I just feel for Rex when he goes away from home because he's full of anxiety. But these kennels that we chose this time, they send you a little picture. They do on their Facebook page. They take pictures of all the dogs when they're out for their daily walk. So a little Rexy update during the day.
On that Facebook page is to see pictures. My mum and dad will correct me when he listens to this. I think they have one where you can log on to the video of your dog in the kennel.
Oh, I'd love it. I'd burn on me data if I did that. But I forgot. So yeah, then we went to Edinburgh Friday, I think it was. Goodness me, it's all a blur, but I just forgot how busy. My goodness me, Edinburgh. I had this memory. It was quite a small city. You could kind of get to know it really well, quite intimately. And I suppose Esme will over the 4 years she's there. But oh my goodness me, it was so busy. And I'm not going to lie, very emotional, leaving our little girl behind. Well, I'm really, really excited for her. And we noticed, quiet. I said to you before, yesterday, did we record? Quiet home now with one child left. We watched Killing Eve, the final Killing Eve of season 3, actually. There was another season without Esme, and that just felt wrong. It didn't sit well with me. Brushing my teeth at night. There's only 3 toothbrushes there. So, yeah, lots of little signs that she's left. So it is going to take a while. I think Esme's having a blast. She's up there. But yeah, Lisa and I, we are struggling a little bit. Lakeland 100. Oh, yeah. Wow. This is big news because lots of people, lots of anxiety for the 50 and the 100 ballot. And yeah, made it through. I'm super grateful to be on the start line for the 5th time. And fingers crossed. Oh, goodness me. Fingers crossed we get to the end. Congrats. And commiserations. You know, I know some people who went for the charity place too, and they didn't get in. So like a double rejection. Yeah. So I know how hard it is for some people. And if you were successful, cherish that place and respect the challenge because there are a lot of people out there who missed out. And if you did miss out, yeah, I noticed 13 Valleys. Maybe I'll be able to do the hard sell after I've finished to tell you how good or bad it was. But yeah, they've got an early bird discount, which I think is cheaper than what the Lakeland 100 costs. So yeah, if you fancy a big Lakeland Ultra end of September, so yeah, weather could be minging, but you might get just that lovely September day. That could be absolutely awesome. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they've got a little early bird discount on. So yeah, not a lot of miles, one session and some nice miles around Edinburgh. It is what it is. And yeah, I'm normally such a, I suppose, yeah, fair enough. I'm a really selfish runner. I prioritize running over most things, but this last 3 or 4 weeks, it's been a bit of a test actually, just to go with the flow. Something that maybe, if you went back 6 years ago, I probably wouldn't have done. The last 3 weeks would have been completely different. I would have been a lot more selfish with my time. So it's nice. It's healthy. It's healthy. Like, we talked to Lawrence that running is important, but it's not everything about us. So I feel, yeah, when I'm crying at mile 100 on the 13 Valleys, I might have a different outlook on life. But yeah, currently I feel better for it. This week's Brew the Coach's question comes from Naomi Amor, who would like some pre-operation advice and post-operation recovery advice. Naomi is booked in for a total hysterectomy. I'm a long-term distance runner, regularly running 50-mile weeks and have done numerous ultras. In a few weeks' time, I'm due to have a total hysterectomy. I will, of course, be guided by my consultant on recovery and return to training, but would love to hear your thoughts, particularly from Eddie and Trish, on how I can make a return to running and any advice they can give. Is there anything I can do pre-operation to make sure I give myself the best recovery? With best wishes, Naomi. My goodness me, I just said before we recorded, I remember my mother had a hysterectomy and I was very young. And yeah, medicine's moved on quite a bit, but it was just seemed like such a traumatic experience for my mum. Oh my goodness me, yeah. Eddie, what's your thoughts?
First of all, our love and prayers are going to you, Naomi, and hopefully you might have had the operation by now, or if you're going towards the operation, hopefully it will go well, stress-free, and you'll be coming out the other side very quickly. You ask what you can do pre-operation. I think the fact that you're running regularly 50-mile weeks and you've done lots of ultras, you are super fit and you're strong. I don't think you need to do anything different. I would advise people going into childbirth or going into any major surgery, which is going to then need quite a long period of recovery afterwards. You want to go in as strong as you can. Don't put pressure on yourself, but you want to be as strong as fit as that looks like for you. And I think hopefully you've kept up your running pretty much to the operation, and so you'll set yourself up so well for a great recovery afterwards. And also if there's any complications in the surgery as well, I think being fit and healthy and being strong, you're able to deal with that a little bit as well. Yeah, be guided by your consultant. We're not medically trained, so we're going to give our advice on personal advice. And I have my pre and postnatal training qualifications. So there is quite a lot of similarities in that as well, because I've helped a lot of women come back from C-sections, emergency C-sections or planned C-sections. And I imagine they're the same physically of what you have to do in order to work back to running. I imagine with a total hysterectomy as well, though, you probably have got a big drop in hormones. It might be a little mentally, a little bit traumatic as well. So bear that in mind. You might feel quite different. And again, I would advise you to talk to your consultant as well and talk to your partner, your family, because it might be as well that things change a little bit hormonally. You might just mentally find it quite hard to come to terms with. So just be prepared as well that it might not be just the physical comeback as well. It might be the mental comeback as well. I think the first rule of thumb from having a major surgery as well is, and I say this to new mums as well, you've got to be able to live your life pain-free and with energy before you start putting running in. So don't think, 2 weeks later, I'm going to be able to go back and out running. I think it's really important that you're able to move around pain-free. You're able to do your daily chores. I think it's 6 weeks you're not allowed to drive. So that's a good rule of thumb for getting back to running as well. I think you need to be able to bend over, do all the boring chores, the laundry, the cooking, the shopping, all this boring stuff. But it will all naturally, organically build your strength back up and build your movement back up. So just by living normally for the next sort of 2 months after your hysterectomy will help you sort of recover as well. Walking, I know that post C-section that you're encouraged to move as soon as possible. And I imagine it's the same with a hysterectomy. As soon as your consultant says, do some gentle walking, add in, the more that you can walk, the more you will add in gentle walking. That is a really, really great tool for getting back to training really gradually. And something I say to new mums as well is until you can comfortably walk 10,000 steps a day, I wouldn't even think about running. Don't underestimate the power that walking will give you of building back your core strength and your leg strength. Just keeping your body upright with this new core, because your core will change when you've had major surgery as well. There will be some damage to your abdominals and you need to rebuild that. Talking about abdominals, there is a lot of very gentle basic work that you can do really early on to get your abdominal strength back. I would suggest, Naomi, that you perhaps put a little bit of research into this. There's stuff on YouTube, but also you might find that near you, you've got a specialist, a pelvic health specialist or a specialist physical therapist who specializes in women's health, who can check you're doing this core work properly and just build your core back up as well. I don't know the ins and outs of a hysterectomy surgery now, how invasive it is. There's some very gentle core work you can do to get your
your abdominal muscles back working again. But I would say you probably want some professional help with that. It's very simple. You can build back up, especially if you've been strong before, you can build that back up quite quickly. On a time scale, I wouldn't want to give you a time scale, Naomi, but I would probably be very kind with yourself and not rush back into things. So don't give yourself a race that you're like, I need to be fit again 4 months down the line. I would allow your body, I would imagine, allow your body to fully recover from this, because you're setting yourself up for the future you now. I think if you rush back into training post-major surgery, you might then find you set yourself up for niggles and injuries for a while. So just really take this process really slow and be kind to yourself. And when you feel ready, you will then maybe find a race or something to do. As for building running back in, sorry, I'm going on about it. It's quite passionate about this subject, but as for building running back in, wait till obviously your consultant says it's ready to build back running in. Because you've got a really strong background in running, I know people get like, oh, it's going to take me ages. It won't. Your muscles and your body will remember what to do very quickly. You just have to be careful that those muscles, that your CV system and your muscles are in line, so you don't rush back into training. You let them both gradually recover at the same time. But you'll find that within a couple of weeks of a little run to walk program, you will get back to running really quickly, as long as you've not rushed back into it. So you've allowed yourself that time, that 6 to 8 weeks time to heal. And then you'll find doing some core work, doing some strength work, maybe doing some gentle biking. You'll find that if you do that, then you'll get back into running really quickly. And I am sure 6 months down the line, you'll be back to where you were, and hopefully you'll feel a bit better as well.
I totally agree with everything Eddie said there. So I think I just summarize it into kind of like key points. Firstly, get set time. So have with any kind of operation or anything like that, have a set time where you're going to have that time off, and just say, okay, well, I'm going to have my operation and I'm going to have this amount of time to recover. Mentally, that's easier to do because you're not feeling that automatic pullback. But remember, you've got to be flexible with that, okay? So it might not quite work out the way you want. You might need a little bit more. But give yourself a set time where you can guilt-free say, I'm not doing any training. Coming back in, you've got to go in super easy, super easy. And the two key fundamental things are walking and movement. Walking and movement, it will cover so many pieces in terms of just basic rehabilitation, but also your capacity to not lose everything you've got. You're super fit. You can see you're super fit. You're gonna recover. You're probably going to recover very well because you're fit and you're healthy. Just be content with coming in super easy and just easing your way back in. And fundamentally, the last and most important thing is train, don't strain. Again, really easy to do post any kind of surgery is we push a little bit too hard into that strain bracket. So just be conscious of that. Train, don't strain. And before you know it, you'll be back to it.
I've never been to see a consultant who've guided me through recovery. Can you have input with these people? I'm just curious if the consultant isn't an active person, they might not appreciate how important.
I don't think the consultant is going to give her, he's going to do the surgery and then sign her off.
Yeah.
Okay.
In all my experience of athletes, none of them have had any feedback from their consultant in terms of rehab. And even to be fair, like I've had a chunk of athletes. So just recently, I've got an athlete who's got a knee injury, and even the physio who he's seeing isn't giving him a rehab plan. And I'm like, need to see another physio, like it's really quite poor. And also, like, if you want a rehab plan, you're going to have to pay specifically for a rehab plan.
When women have babies, like in some countries, in France, you have 10 hours of Pilates on the state. You have all sorts of amazing support postnatal. There's zero support postnatally for women to get them back moving. That's when lots of women come to me, and you have no health check afterwards. You have to put money into all these things. But it's poor. The guidance out there is poor for active women, and the support is poor. But for any women that's out there coming back post-baby, coming back post-hysterectomy, we're here for you, and it can be done. It doesn't need to be, and it doesn't need to be complicated. I think that's the biggest thing. It doesn't need to be complicated. I think moving through life and just getting back to your general routine, feeling good, and that moment when you feel like oh, could I try a few steps of running? That's almost the time when you go, oh, I'm almost ready. But there are heaps of women out there that do specialize in pelvic health and in coming back post-surgery. So it doesn't take much to find somebody near you, and you don't need to throw a ton of money at it. It can be like 2 or 3 perhaps appointments that might just change the way that you move and help you with some core work as well. So there is help out there, but nearly always it does require money, which is terrible, but c'est la vie. Russell, I guess you don't want to add anything to that.
You guys covered it very, very thoroughly. I don't have obviously any experience of hysterectomy personally. I don't want to overly contribute as a man. I'm quite happy to hand it to you guys. The only thing I have experience with is after major surgery, focusing in on circadian rhythms, just making sure you're getting up, going to sleep at the same time every day. And you can have a holiday from that for a while, but as soon as you do get back to that, you tend to give yourself an opportunity to start feeling good in your routine, better, getting out and getting natural light onto your eyes as early as you can in the day and just moving outside in natural light. Sleep, good nutrition. It's boring, simple, basic stuff, but it really does work. And that is normally how the human body thrives and what we really need
routine
to start to feel good again. Yeah, it's the basics, but you really do need to focus in on the taking care of business side of things. It can slip. You can give yourself an out, and that's fine for a while. But when you do get back onto it, try and focus in on your circadian rhythm. So you're going to bed, getting up at the same time every day as much as possible. You can have a lie-in once a week.
I had a lie-in this morning till 7:06 this morning.
I was wondering what that was.
Incredible.
Still got some sleep in your eye.
It was incredible. Let us know how you're doing, Naomi, and best of luck.
Definitely got to this question too late, so apologies, Naomi. But yeah, you never know who's listening, so if it does resonate or help one of our listeners, then yeah. If you have a question for our coaches and you are a patron, then email hello@teaandtrails.com. Thanks X Miles for sponsoring this week's interview, the one-stop kit and nutrition shop. And don't forget, patrons can receive 10% off over at www.xmiles.co.uk. The Reverend Lawrence Basham joins us this week, Team Vicar South Lakes. This is one of the highlights of this little podcast, Eddie. 1 minute I'm sitting cross-legged on the floor at John Ruskin School listening to Lawrence, and the next minute we're on a Zoom call chatting away and Lawrence shares his story. I appreciate not everyone is religious. I'm not religious. I didn't get married in a church. My children are not baptized. That's a conscious decision Lisa and I made. I didn't feel the pressure. I didn't feel like I'd been ambushed or hijacked. Yeah, his words did resonate with me, as I grieve after the loss of my dad. And yeah, that stronger together sentiment that he talked about, that was my Lakeland 100 story. We do touch on some serious subjects. I don't think it's too triggering. Lawrence's journey hasn't always been plain sailing. So yeah, a little warning before we start. This week we're joined by Lawrence Basham, Team Vicar South Lakes. Thanks for joining us today, Lawrence. Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on the Tea and Trails podcast.
It's brilliant to be with you. I'm a fan, first and foremost. So I was saying before, I'm a little bit starstruck. It's good to be with you. And I think I need to say right up front that I feel a bit of an imposter because although I'm a runner, and I'll talk about my running journey, etc., I am pretty modest in my ability. So
I've seen Mark
pretty modest compared to some of the people that you have on there. But no, it's great. It's really, really lovely to be with you, and thanks for the invite.
Well, we just did talk before we started recording about how we normalise ultras like the Spine Race, Lakeland 100, Northern Traverse. Well, it isn't normal, is it really, just to go and run 200 plus miles?
I'm glad you could see that.
I was fortunate to be on the floor in Coniston. Yeah, my rusty old bones were not grateful when I was cross-legged. But when you talk to the competitors, it was funny, it was thoughtful, and yeah, powerful words too, Lawrence. How did you Curious, how did you get involved with the Lakeland 100? And was your speech, were your words just exclusive for the 100 runners, or did you speak to the 50 runners too?
Yeah, no, I spoke to all 3 briefings. It's a bit of a long story. So Gemma, who I'll talk about in today, is my wife, and she came back to running a few years ago and has gradually built up, and she did the Lakeland 50 a couple of years ago, and last year she tried the 100 and got timed out at Buttermere. She set off all so she's opposite end to some of your guests and you, Gary. She's definitely, if I can get within 40 hours, that's the goal. Okay. So it's going to be 2 nights out. It's going to be chasing the cut-offs all the way. So last year she set off a little bit too casually and then suddenly realised, oh my goodness, I've got, whatever to go, and she just missed it by a few minutes. So she spent all this year training for it. But last year, and I don't know if you remember, there was, because I wasn't involved in the sort of Facebook community and stuff like that, but there was some stuff after the race last year where a couple had been engaged at the race. Yes. I don't know if you remember that. Mark Laithwaite was, I didn't read the messages, but apparently he was sort of, they want to get married next year at the event or around the event. And Jem reached out and said, my husband's vicar in Kentmere would love to, can he help in any way? And so there's a bit of excitement around that, and that seemed like a great thing. Unfortunately for me, I didn't realise this couple were a pair of ladies, which would have been no problem to me, but in the Church of England at the moment, I'm not authorised to do that. So it was a kind of like, I'm really sorry, but I would have loved to have done that, but I can't do that. But we'd kind of made a connection with Mark at that point. And then I think at some point, he maybe messaged Gemma and said, I've just got this idea for the briefing. I wonder whether Lawrence would be up for helping me speak to the competitors. So it was all just a bit like, I don't really know what he was thinking. So a couple of weeks before, he must have so much to deal with because it's such a massive event, and I was so impressed with it, the way that it ran. But a couple of weeks before, we had a quick conversation, and on that day, I was heading out to pace at Leg 1 Bob Graham.
I thought you was heading out to Betty Bede Retirement Home to do some hymns and prayers.
Nope. Blessings and home communions. And so we had a quick chat, and I told him a few things that I thought, and he said, well, actually, I've just been writing down, I've got some ideas, been out for a run, I'd like to write them down. I'll send them over to you. Have a look and let's see, what you think. Come back to me, that kind of thing. So literally a couple of days before he sent these words over and I read them and I was like, wow, this is brilliant. This is really powerful. Clearly he knows the people and the community that he's speaking to, which is obviously a really important thing. And I added just a few little things and a sort of prayer at the end. And that was it, really. So it was a quick message, I'll see you there. And I got there on Friday evening. Jem had already signed in. We went back on Friday evening because we don't live that far away. And I could tell that Mark was a little bit kind of like, we've got the vicar here now, have I made the right decision sort of thing? Because I dressed like this, and I could see people in the background sort of looking and thinking, oh no, what's he done this time? Maybe he's pushed it a bit too far. But no, we started with the 100 briefing, which, I was there with two of my children, so my eldest daughter and my little boy, and my eldest daughter just turned to me. We were in that room, everyone's packed in the sports hall, and she said, God, can you feel the atmosphere in here? Just before, because it was just like, you can cut it, can't you, with a knife? Everybody's like, and you could. And so, Mark introduced me and I jumped up on stage and said a couple of things. I think I said something about, because people were dressed in Top Gun stuff and I was mooching around in my vicar stuff. And you could see people looking at me like, what? He's got the wrong message here.
Yeah,
he's got the wrong message about, because you just don't expect to see a priest in a situation like that unless he's in fancy dress, unless it's some,
or something terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was. So I sort of had to jump on stage and just try and crack a bit of a joke to try and settle everyone a little bit, and then really I just went straight into the words that Mark had written. He sort of introduced me and said, I don't feel qualified to read these, which I don't really agree with. He clearly knows the people, but he felt like he wanted somebody else to do it. Yeah, and gave a blessing after, and there was just a sense of sort of like this intake of breath, and then everyone just applauded, and I wasn't expecting that at all. I didn't, I just didn't know how it would be received.
I didn't realise it was that way around. I didn't realise Mark gave you a bit of an outline of the speech, and then you did the prayer at the end. I really didn't realise it was that way around. But what was the sentiment? What do you think the sentiment was then? We'll do the words at the end. That'd be fantastic if we could end the podcast on that. But what was the sentiment? I really appreciated it when I was sitting on the floor.
I think the sentiment was about this is about a community, and we're in it together, and we're in it with the people who supported us throughout this year. So I've been a Lakeland, not widow, but I've had to suffer the whole every day talking about the Lakeland 100 all year with Gemma.
Me too. Me too.
Do you think I can do it? What do you think I should do now? What about my knee? It's been constant all year. So there's been those who've supported us. There's those who've been there in previous years but can't run anymore. There's those, in everybody's life, we lose people along the way, and we're running because that's our why, because we want to, in memory of somebody, or just because we're grieving, and perhaps we don't even realise that the running is helping us with the grieving process. But I think it all boils down to that we're a community. If we recognise that, we're much stronger together. And I think that's really what he was saying. And I wanted to add, I sort of got on stage and said, in my job, a lot of people, because I'm a priest in the Lake District, say to me, my church is up there on the fells, there. I get sort of three types of people. There's those who maybe come to church. There's those who just don't want to speak to me, and they look at me like fear of God, as if like, just keep away from me. And then there's people who are kind of like, I kind of get, but it's not my thing, thank you very much. But up there's my church on the fells. And I wanted to say, I suppose for me, I would use the word God, but I didn't want to sort of impose that on people. But what you're connected with out there that feels beyond yourself is the same sort of thing. We're all in it together like that as well. And so I wanted to say, I guess some of you are like that. There's a quote by John Muir. I said this in one of the briefings, one of the 50s, where he said, I'd rather be in the mountains thinking about God than in church thinking about the mountains. And it really resonates with me. I mean, I do church stuff, obviously, but I get that as well, because there's something out there that I really love connecting to. And I'm out there with the community, with nature, with just the activity of running, with family, whatever it is. Yeah. And so I kind of wanted to just say, we don't need to be exclusive at this moment just because there's a priest here. I try and get over that. And so that was kind of my intro to it, really. Yeah, I love that quote by John Muir, who's got brilliant nicknames. John of the Mountains. I mean, what a nickname. Or the father of the national parks. I mean, if you can get a nickname like that, you're doing pretty well. The kids are actually studying him at school, and they taught me all that on the way home yesterday, because we've got the John Muir Trust, sort of like the story, the history of it in the town where we're staying at the moment. And so now they have John Muir studies that they do every week as well, and learning all about his work in the mountains, which I love. You'll have to just get the books out, keep them on that one. Make sure they keep up to that.
Well, thanks for being at the start, Lawrence. I appreciate it. Just a real moment in your own thoughts. It was like a calm before the storm almost. Yeah, I think I really needed just to calibrate and balance. It was good.
It's good. Yeah, no, it's interesting. Lots of people then, because I was out and about on the course, I kept this shirt on, and for a couple of days I was a bit smelly at the end of it, and I kind of took it as a bit of it's one of the things when you're wearing the dog collar, you can kind of pretty much go anywhere. So I was just wandering into checkpoints.
Don't tell Gary this. Gary will be like, "Oh,
yeah, okay." Everyone will be turning up, won't they, with the vicar? There'll be like 150 vicars next year. Who's this lot? So I met quite a few people, really, and I was determined to just encourage people all the way. And so I was just like, "Well done, well done, well done, well done." And so many people were like, "Thank you, Vicar, for your words. Thank you. I'm not religious, but." There was just something about that really hit them out. But I do think the credit, it's not for me, it goes to where credit needs to be shared. It goes to Mark Laithwaite, because he sort of he knows his people, doesn't he? He knows what he's doing, and he just nailed it, really. So hopefully it was inclusive and it didn't make people feel uncomfortable, because that was my main concern, that somehow you're going to be it is a bit sort of, what's this guy doing here, sort of thing. And one or two people said that. I thought, oh no, what's he got this guy up for?
Oh, very brave of you. That was really brave of you, because you must have taken a bit of deep breath and.
I think that's probably the.
It's probably a lot of your job, that resilience.
That's just what it is, really. Yeah. If you're called to do this, it's a great job. But if you're not, it's a terrible job. So I'll do anything in that line. Generally, I'm pretty reserved, quiet kind of guy. But when I'm doing that, that's my confidence. So that's what I do. Yeah.
Well, you open with a one-liner that got everybody laughing, and then you close to a round of applause. So I think you nailed
it. That works. I told a story at one of the 50s where I'd been out. So it was mad because we've got 4 children. 2 of them were with me. We had to run home. Grandparents had lost control of the other 2, so they weren't in bed. So I had to do the whole what have you been doing? Get everybody to bed. No, they're brilliant. I mean, we wouldn't, they are amazing.
I know, but grandparents don't have. They just you get back, it's 9:30. You're like, what? Yeah. Your job was to put them to bed.
Yeah, there's just no chance. Not even anywhere near bed.
What is this? What is
this? Completely. So there was all that. Got everyone to bed, and then I got up at about 3:00 and went up to Keswick. And the cool thing for me is, because I've got 6 parishes now, but previously I was in Keswick for a couple of years. So it's just all the Braithwaite was where the checkpoint is. That's the church hall. It comes through Crossway Church. You probably don't even know, but it goes through the graveyard. So
it does. Gary gets lost there every year.
Yeah, well, that's it. I parked up and ran back to try and catch Gemma. I saw one of my neighbours who he was in front of her. Well done. And because it's just coming light, it's dark. All you've got is this stream of headlights coming towards you. And I needed a wee. So, but I knew where the graveyard, where they do put the sort of grass cuttings and stuff like that. So I thought I'll just wait for a break in the headlights and I'll nip in here, which I did. And what I didn't see was a lady who hadn't got a head torch on. So I jumped out back on, because it's really narrow, isn't it, that little path in the woody bit. And I jumped out with my collar on, and she jumped out in front of me, and she was just in the graveyard. She was like, ah! And I was like, ah! And it was one of those moments. And I think she thought, this is the end of this is it.
Yes, this is a Netflix movie. I'm in a horror movie. I'm
here to meet my maker. Direct to the anyway. So I met loads of people. It was just fantastic. Yeah, I think I did about 17 miles on the day.
Oh my goodness me! I remember you mentioned in the briefing about if you need a bit of help, I'll be in Kentmere during the day.
Yeah, well that was Mark put that one on me.
All right,
bless him. I was there, but I mean my priority was supporting Gemma. So I was in Kentmere, but really it was 11 o'clock at night. But it was good, yeah. So it was around. No one came for help. 1 or 2 jokes. I was asking people if anybody needed resurrections. Most people were asking for water into wine. No, there was some good crack, really. I mean, and I thought they're just a wonderful community, really, yeah.
We ask all our guests, where are you? What's the view from your window? And have you been for a run today? Yeah.
I'm sat in the vicarage in Staveley, if you know where that is. It's just outside Kendal. A wonderful village. That's where we're living at the moment. Amazing village for runners here. In the yard, in the mill yard here, they've got offices for Innovate, Montaigne, Adidas Terex. Fantastic. There's loads of people who love running here. The other good thing about the village here is that it's not sort of got loads of holiday lets. There's a working community here. So there's a little row of terrace houses and a kind of factory type thing, Kentmere Packaging, straight over the road. And then behind that is what they call Craggy Wood, which is a wood owned by the community here, up a hill. And that's where I go for a run with my little boy. We do a little 3K loop up and round in there. So that's what I can see. And yet, probably because I knew I'd be speaking to you, I got up this morning at 6 o'clock and I ran 12K.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, that is
so I'm getting Gemma, when she entered the Lakeland 100, she also entered Langdale Half Marathon.
Oh my goodness! Okay.
And this is it's on road, that isn't it? But
that's
isn't
on road.
Isn't it the hilliest marathon, Langdale Marathon? That's got 1,000 meters or something.
Yeah, it's about 500 meters in the half.
Yeah, it must be then.
Her thinking was, if I don't get through the 100, I've got just something else to focus on, because she did. And she's like, I don't want to do that. So I've taken her entry for that last week.
Brilliant.
So I've not had a lot of training this summer. The last couple of months I had an intense time with work. So this is my starting to train for the half marathon. I've got about a month.
I was going to say, when is this? Okay.
Yeah,
so my next
October the 19th. Yeah.
My next question was, do you follow a training plan? Is it, but are you a loosey-goosey sort of guy, or?
I'm good when I've got a target. So I'm up at 6 o'clock. So the previous 2 months, it's been hectic, lots of stuff with work, and then school holidays with kids and stuff like that. So it's just been
4 kids.
Chill, 4 kids, chill. And one of the lovely things is a couple of mine are running now. So we do the park run. Judah does quite a bit of fell running locally as well. So I'm just trotting out with them, although he's getting quite fast now. He's nearly 10.
Yeah, when you say trotting out, is it a case of we need a little warm up a little bit because they go out the door like...
Yeah, he's definitely getting that way. When they're still quite young, so he's not super enthusiastic, but he will go out occasionally. So we had a couple of months of that, and then the 2 months before that, I trained quite well for that, and I did 3 trail races. And I just have to get a little flex in, and I managed to pick up 2 Vet 50 prizes. So I did a Lakeland Trails and a Keswick Mountain Festival, 25k. So it was pretty modest, I've got to be honest. And even when you look at the times, they were like not particularly fast times.
Don't need to look at the times, just look at the trophies, Lawrence. Don't worry about the time. Don't worry about the people in the race.
I've lost it now.
I can't believe they're not.
Hold on.
Yeah, get them out. Heavy fun.
You only get 1.
Oh, sensational. But V50,
It's
Lawrence.
be worth it, hasn't it?
I'm not too sure we can be friends. If your name's on the start line for the 100 next year, then it's a short-lived friendship.
Lawrence said he was pretty modest, but he found that trophy pretty quickly. He was like, I put it around here somewhere.
It's just here.
There it is.
Pocket,
I think 12k. If I wasn't training for anything, 12k is just a perfect distance, isn't it? You've not dedicated all day to this run, but you've done enough to feel like you've had a good workout. Yeah, I think if I wasn't training for anything, I could fill my days.
Well, I did a 12k workout this morning, and I'm absolutely destroyed.
This wasn't a workout. This is a loop. It's about a 5k loop, and it has about 150 meters.
So nice as well. I'm coming.
2 of those, and then a couple of k warm down. And this is just to get everything moving again for the half marathon.
But the half marathon's on road. Are you a carbon shoe guy?
On road, yeah. I've got them here, actually. There we go. Look at those. I don't even know what they're called. But
the Hoka Blues. I don't know what they're called.
I saw someone in the Olympics wearing them. Same colour. I don't know if it's the same thing.
Buy them.
They're pretty good, those. Yeah, they're nice and comfy. So I wore them today just because my other shoes I need some new stuff, really. So I wore those today, but I wouldn't normally wear them apart from for sessions or races.
Yeah, sometimes a pair of carbon shoes. I wore them for the school pickup yesterday because everything else was wet, and I was like, I feel like I'm about that much higher. I'm taller. My legs look longer, and I'm like, but they're not good to drive in. Have you ever tried driving in carbon shoes?
No.
The pedal is like anyway, better not say car insurance.
You guys wear carbon on trail shoes?
I don't. Gary does. Gary loves them. I can't not pretend. I can't.
I don't mind them.
I've run with Gary in carbon trails on a trail, and it's hilarious because he.
Yeah, but there's never, when you do these long races at least, or even probably maybe even a trail half marathon, it's never like, say, a fell race where it's all out trod. Lakeland 100 is a classic example. You've got some lovely runnable sections. So there's always a compromise, and I'd rather slip for a few miles in the mud and then have easy running when, in theory, you can run. So yeah, I definitely Lakeland 100. I did all county tops in some ultra Mont Blanc.
Did you? I bet you got some funny looks, but you did well there. You do well in that. So, if you're back in with the results, Gary,
I think it's because his legs are so small. So the stack height, like he just likes getting that little bit of it. Yeah.
I'll take anything.
Well, I did think, I wear some funny clothes in my job at times, but nothing like those red shorts, mate.
Oh, I thought we were going to get away from this.
Straight from the Lord, the red shorts must be burned.
Sorry.
I'm just going to wear them next year.
You know
Just
what,
vanilla.
though?
Keep them on. Yeah.
He's had so much stick about the red shorts. Everybody, his wife, the whole podcast, thousands of people on that Facebook page. He's still going to wear them. So
gotta
I'd
wear
say
them now.
I get kudos for like you sticking with. If somebody says to me like my T-shirt, the kids call me the Pizza Express woman. I won't wear this in public now, but you and the red short, you're going to do it. Let's jump back in. Lawrence, can you share us a little bit about, we talked a bit about this before we started recording, about your running journey, and you said it's deeply sort of intertwined with your faith journey, which I think will be very similar to a lot of people a lot of our listeners have come from running in later life or ran when they were younger and then come back to running in sort of like time of need or when they've got a gap in their life or when they just need to be outside. So perhaps you'd share with us a little bit about how you found running and these very speedy park runs that I found when I stalked you on Power 10.
Oh, did you? Good for you. So like you say, my running and faith journeys kind of weave together, really. I'm about the same age as Gary, so I grew up in the early 80s with the Co and Ovet. I don't know if you were into that, Gary, if you were into
Cram,
I was.
Ovet,
Co and Ovet, Moscow Olympics, LA Olympics, and all the stuff that used to be on the telly, Bislett Games and all that stuff. You know, it was just I just drank it in. I loved it. But the one who really, really got it for me was Steve Cram. I just loved the way that he'd get, with a lap to go and he'd get on someone's shoulder and then he'd just destroy them on the back straight. So I used to get my mates and be like, come on guys, let's go for a run. They'd be like, no. And all I wanted to do was do a cram on them. So we used to run up the main road out of our town and there was a roundabout on the way back. So it felt like you were going around the bend. And I'd, come on, but we've got to get fit for football or whatever. And then I'd go around the bend and in my head, I was Steve Cram. I just loved that. So running was kind of there right from an early age, but there wasn't really, I suppose, the opportunities to do anything with that. It might have been a bit of cross country at school or on a kit. I do remember doing a couple of local fun runs and winning like vouchers for Woolworths and things like that. But there was no way really to take it. And I was kind of all or nothing really. So I'd have a few weeks or months where I'd run and then nothing for a long time and then I'd come back to it. But it was kind of always in the background. I mainly played football. I grew up in a town just north of Leeds where there was quite a heavy drinking culture, I think, back in those days. So you grew up and as soon as you could, you went out to the pub. That was it, football and pub. I was about 18 and I played football with a group of guys on a Sunday morning. I played in a team, but I also played on a Sunday morning for a bit of a laugh. And then we went straight to the pub at lunchtime as soon as it opened. And these guys were older and I found out that they had their own running club in the pub called the Bay Horse Harriers in a town called Otley, north of Leeds. The pub's not even open anymore. And I think it was just an excuse for them. They'd go for a run and then they'd have more drinks.
Gary is relating to all of this.
Yeah, okay, it was class. So I was about 18 and they invited me, 'cause one of them was my mate's dad, and they invited us up to the Lake District and they were staying in Bowness and running an old 10-mile race between Windermere and Kendal. And that's what they did every year. And then they had a big night out after. And I was like, these guys are proper runners, because they were like, and I thought that this was it. So we got back to Yorkshire a few weeks later. I was out one Saturday night. I said, where's everyone? There's a 10K tomorrow in the town where we lived. And they're all doing that. So I think I stayed out pretty much all night. It was like 2:00 in the morning. I went home and I thought, I'm doing the 10K tomorrow morning. So got up, 2 pints of water, feeling rubbish, and did this 10K. And I beat all these guys who were the Bay Horse Harriers. I mean, it was modest because they were all just boozers, really. But I thought, and they were like, wow, that's amazing. You're a brilliant runner type of thing. What really caught me there was just the power of encouragement. Like these chaps saying, you're brilliant at this. And it really stuck with me that it's something I could do. And I didn't really do it much after that. I carried on playing football. I had a nasty leg break where I broke my ankle and things like that. And they said I'd never run again, the hospital. Married Gemma, ran my own business, but really fell into a cycle of working really hard and drinking too much on a weekend. And although in that time, Gemma and I did a couple of London marathons, but it was kind of a classic charity place, just turn up and run around. But running was always there, but not really central or thought through. It was just, ad hoc, I suppose. And life just journeyed on. And on the outside, I kind of had what looked like a really successful life, had a good business, great wife, lovely house. But inside, I was still this kind of scared little boy that when those guys said, "You're a good runner," it touched me deep within, do you know what I mean? But that was kind of who I was. I kind of lacked a lot of confidence and self-worth and stuff like that. Journey through, and I stopped all the drinking, and I came back to running, really, and joined a running club in Ilkley Harriers. Got onto that sort of, that time when you start running and then you improve really quickly. Mm-hmm. And it's just so seductive, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's just like you train hard, you start doing sessions, and your PBs are just getting faster and faster. Yeah. And I got drawn into that, and the running club was a great running club, lovely people, and you get drawn into that sort of culture, and then suddenly you're kind of at the front of the people in your club. They've got some fantastic runners now, but back then they probably didn't have so many. And suddenly you're like, wow, I'm really something here. I was getting a real buzz from it and running okay. I have a bit of a flex now. I think I was 16 minutes 5k and 34 for 10k, so I was okay. That
is a flex. My goodness me, that's a flex.
But it's not. I've got to say it though. And but what happened? And I suppose I had the insecurities there before, but what happened was my value was who I was as a runner. Like that sort of translated onto me. I was, as long as running was going well, and I was beating the right people or getting the right times, I felt good about myself. And I think it's not often something we talk about in the running world, but that is quite often how it goes, or an injury comes along and suddenly you crash because you've lost where your confidence is. And I was probably working 90 to 100 hours a week and running about 70 miles a week at that point, racing most weeks, just anything, whatever it was, local cross country, anything goes, just pushing myself and pushing myself and pushing myself. And by now you've got that sense where you put more in and you're not really thinking about it and you're not really getting anything back. There's no improvements. You've got niggles and life's as a runner's a bit rubbish, really. You might have heard of this race, Gary. This illustrates it. There was a race near York called the Snake Lane 10.
I've never done it, but I've heard of it.
Pocklington 10, and flat 10 mile, and I wanted to run under 57 minutes for this. That was my aim, right? But I'd got this plantar fasciitis thing that had been hanging around, but I was fit, so I thought, well, painkillers and run through it. That's the answer. Bright spark. And I ran, and I was just pushing myself so hard. I ran this race. I got within about a mile and a half, and I felt the fascia or whatever it is just tear right across. Oh, and it was
my God.
Oh. And I went from doing 5.5 minute miles because I was on track to like 8.5 or 8 minutes or whatever for the last mile. Finished in 57. But it really was like, this has to end, really. And I was injured for a long time after that. In fact, for years with that, because it really wrecked me. But really, it was an illustration of how everything was in all of my life. And my kind of outside running behaviour was getting erratic and quite destructive. Gemma and I were having a really bad patch in our marriage. The business wasn't doing that well. I was clearly, although I didn't recognise it, burnt out and exhausted. And I suppose looking back then, we found out that I had some underlying mental health issues and some episodes that hadn't really been picked up on. But actually, when you look back and trace the story, you can see that that's been there for quite a while. And it was a really, really dark, difficult time for me where I suppose everything felt like it had imploded. Probably through my own making, felt like I was losing everything. And who was I anymore? Like that sort of self-worth thing. It's just like, what's the point? And it came to a head one particular night. Gemma and I had a massive fallout. She'd got her bags packed at the door. Dad was coming to pick her up. I was in the bath. I was like, what's the point kind of thing. It was that type of level. Perhaps I should just finish everything now. I'd had some pretty horrible, sort of suicidal thoughts and things like that. And then I was like, maybe this is it. It's weird, really, because I was never a religious person at all. And so what I did next was kind of a bit unusual, I suppose. And I in that moment cried out, and I remember literally crying. I know you talk about baby Jesus, Eddie, but I cried out, "If you're real, Jesus, I need you," which there wasn't really any sense in that, because I'd just had Jesus of the primary school. There was no faith at all, but like, that's, you know, from somewhere within, I cried out. And then sort of what happened next is quite hard to explain to other people, really, but all I would say was just this invisible peace was right with me, and I was like, what's going on? and it's just really, really hard to explain what was happening. And then Gemma was in the next room, and she just shouted, she said, "Listen, why don't you come and watch what's on television?" And we're going back quite a few years now, and I don't know if you remember a TV program called Walking with Wainwright.
Yeah.
Wainwright walks around the Lake District.
Yeah.
So I'd chased times on the road with my running, but I'd done quite a bit of trail running and fell running as well. And Gemma and I had done quite a bit in the Lake District, and it was becoming a sort of a passion of ours to get up there when we could and get on the trails and things like that. And she said, "Why don't you come and watch this?" I don't know, you know, we were like at loggerheads. It was not good. I went, and we sat arms around each other, and although nothing had changed in my life, all my problems were still there, something had completely changed, and I knew it was going to be okay. She rang her dad and said, "Don't come, we're going to be okay." And we sat and watched the trails of the Lake District. And I think a couple of weeks later, randomly, she said, "I think I'm going to go to church," which was random.
Yeah.
And even though I'd sort of cried out to God, I never thought about going to church. You know, why would I ever want to go to church? And I said, "Oh, no, I don't want to come with you. I've got a race," or whatever it was on Sunday. And then a week or so later, I did go, and it was a really uncomfortable experience. It was like, this is weird in here. What's going on? There's a cult. People need to know about this. You know, this is what I literally was thinking. But what I met in church was there were some guys from our running club, 2 or 3 guys, a bit older than me. One of them did UTMB, one of them's a really fast runner, another guy, lovely doctor. And they kind of just gathered around me and sort of made me feel comfortable. And that was the sort of start of going to church and all that. And the kind of, I'd say the running community and the church community, and at times they cross, sort of loved me back to health, really. And it was just, again, it was that, it relates back to what Mark was saying in those words, you know, that the community together can do such amazing stuff, not just, you know, times and distances, but where the community can transform people's lives. And I think God was in it with me. That's where my faith is. But it was through the people there that this, you know, restoration, sort of emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, back to life came. So running's kind of always been there and has contributed. But sometimes I would say it's not always contributed positively.
Yeah.
Do you know
We
what I
all
mean?
understand that. Oh, yeah.
And so yeah, that happened, and then we went on and had 4 children, which is another massive story.
And again, you asked Jesus for help. I've got 4. What am I meant to do with them all?
I don't know. You might want to cut this story out of the podcast, whatever, because it might sound a bit extreme. But Jen went to college in Durham, and a friend of hers was a Christian and all that, and she was always sort of trying to nudge her to go to church. Jem was kind of interested, but never went. And then, of course, we went to church. So this friend was like, "Ooh, you know, brilliant," sort of thing. And Jem remembers Helen ringing her and saying, "Oh, how's Lawrence?" Because he obviously had been really, really ill. I was under the care of a psychiatrist and stuff like that. And she said, "Yeah, he's great. And yeah, he's going to church, but he's gone a bit weird." She said, "He's been out in the garden and he came in and said, 'God's told me we're going to have 4 children.'" Like, I couldn't even remember this. Helen reminded us after our 4th children, and we had a whole story of not being able to have children and loss in pregnancy and stuff like that. Yeah, so actually, Eddie, in a way, we do thank God for that. And but there wasn't a lot of running happening.
No.
During that time. 4 kids, twins in the middle. That was just like survival. So you're eating a lot of biscuits, drinking a lot of coffee, and just trying to survive. And then I sort of came back to running in about 2019, by which time I was on this journey to being to training to be a priest, and the whole story in that. But I came back to that, and I think what fascinated me then was, I suppose, the connection that I felt with God, if you want to call it God, this sense of peace and wholeness and purpose. I knew I'd also sensed that and experienced that in running, particularly on the trails and in the hills. And it really just fascinated me, what's going on there. To me, it's not an exclusive thing that God's just in church. I think people have different words for it, and that's absolutely fine. But there's this connection beyond ourselves, perhaps through community, perhaps through nature, and it sort of felt the same, and it kind of was the same, and that's sort of fascinated me since then, really. So that's where my running and my job, I suppose, interweave now. Yeah, so that's me and a runner. Yeah, with a few flexes in there just to get, because you have to, don't you?
Yeah, no one else is going to, Lawrence. No one else is going to.
That's true.
But you did make a good point. We shared something, I think Eddie shared it on the podcast maybe a week or two ago about an athlete. Well, no, it was about the athletes who wanted and need with the medal at the Olympics. And
Probably, wasn't it?
Yeah, super powerful. And I think when you realise your running achievements aren't you, we don't need it, although we might think we do in the moment. I think if you can get to that point as an athlete, you'll be in a much healthier place.
I think so, yeah. I think I've got there now. I think, I'm still competitive in myself, but there is a point where I'm like, one little vomit as you go across the line is okay, but that feeling of
Lawrence is so on the cusp of being an ultra runner. He's talked about weeing in bushes, vomiting on the finishing line. And when you experience that first 100-mile going through the night, you'll think, yes,
no going back.
Found my place. There's no going back. There's no going back.
I'm curious, Lawrence, what is a team vicar? I saw that on your bio. I'm not too sure where I saw it. Maybe Facebook.
No, that's just because there's a team of 6 churches. And there's 2 of us, really, so we share that. So I have Staveley here, Kentmere, obviously, Troutbeck. So you go pretty much past the church at Troutbeck on the Lakeland 100. Windermere, Bowness and Inns on the main road currently. But actually I'm moving to Grasmere in November, where I'll be vicar in Grasmere, what they call
nice
chaplain to Rydal Hall. Nice cafes. Yeah, good running. Yeah, lots of choice. But I'll be also chaplain to a place called Rydal Hall, which is sort of between Ambleside and Grasmere as well. Yeah. So,
I love it. Gary and I know all these places only because they're like, oh yeah, checkpoints. Oh yeah, checkpoint there. Checkpoint there.
I probably ran past it last week on my 13 Valleys recce. I think I probably did.
You probably will. I think the checkpoint is next to the church in Grasmere. I think it's due to be at the Grasmere Gather place. Yeah.
What's a typical week? Because it's not a 9 to 5. It's not a 9 to 5 career. So, what does a typical week look like?
Completely, yeah. Oh, and there's no 2 days are the same. After this, I've got to go meet a chap up the road who wants to bury his wife's ashes. I've got a wedding on Saturday. We have services. We do things with youth work in schools, children. It's really varied, but that means that there's quite a bit of flexibility, so you can usually get training in and around.
Yeah.
All that stuff, which is good. The stuff that you have to do, and some of the stuff that I do, you wouldn't, if it would be too far-fetched for a sitcom.
Well, one of Gary's questions is how do you juggle the emotional, the emotional toll of your work? Because obviously everything you're doing has such a strong, the highs and lows of life, and it is such a strong emotional attachment. Do you find that running helps you just to get out and go breathe?
You have to, I mean, and I've learned, with my sort of history of mental health and stuff like that, I need running in a healthy way to keep healthy. But I remember the first funeral that I ever took was in COVID, and I had to take this funeral at a crematorium when there was social distancing and stuff like that. So, and this chap had lost his wife, and he was just sat there on the front row, all on his own, with no one near him, and it was like, I was trying to make sure that I did the right thing, because it's like you were sort of in at the deep end. And I just remember coming home and saying to Jan, I've got to go for a run. and it was chucking it down. We lived at Bassenthwaite near Keswick then, and I just ran and ran and ran because he just needed to process. I mean, everybody has stress, obviously, in their work and in their life, and I think it's just such a great way to process that stuff. And luckily, she knows, and I know with Gemma, that you've got to go for a run. You've got to go for a run. And
if you've got running husband or wives, or you both run, if one of you says I need to go for a run, in my family, there's no. It's like, you're going to be a nicer person when you come back. To be honest. Yeah. Or one of us you need to go for a run. There are your trainers.
I have had that a few times. Yeah, I've never really said that to Gemma, but I've definitely had that.
I've had that to me a lot. Okay. You need to go for a run. You're not bringing any joy to this household right now. Get out.
Yeah.
I've got a question. Well, Eddie's just deleted, but I'm going to ask it.
I'm sorry, I was just doing the last three while you were, because I was like, we're not going to get.
Am I running out of time?
No. I was just choosing the best ones and what you've already. What are they?
I wrote some down. I was curious the misconceptions about being a priest or a vicar. I've got that you might want to convert me at any opportunity. That might be one of the misconceptions. Absolutely everything about God. That's probably a hotline. And I suppose also I probably don't see behind or past the service. So whatever you're doing on that day, whether it's a funeral or a wedding, but my goodness me, the work that goes on behind that. And you should always have your dog collar on 24/7, Lawrence. Are they all are they popular misconceptions?
A lot of that. There are certainly people in our parishes who think that the priest should sleep in his dog collar.
Yeah.
That you're on duty all the time, essentially, always at beck and call. But I think, and it was summed up in that in the weekend around the Lakeland 100, where the number of people who said to me, I'm not religious, but... And I sort of reflected on what I saw of the event and everything. And I suppose if religion is kind of following a set of codes or rules in a community, what I saw in the trail running community, this is not a negative thing, it's just an observation, was almost like a religious experience going on. Like when we have church services, we gather. There was a sense of gathering, the community coming together at Coniston. And then in church services, we have a confession. And I don't know if you picked it up, but I suspect Mark says this every time, but he said, hands up who feels prepared. And really, it was like a little confession of like, who wants to say now they've not done enough training? And everybody was like, oh, no, that's me. I mean, I'm playing around. I mean, it is different. But in church, we sing and we together to help us feel together. And Mark, he plays those games, doesn't he, to bring everybody sort of together.
Yeah. It's the same every year. He does it. It's fantastic.
I guess people said that. We have the reading of the sacred text. Well, at the Lakeland 100, they get the foldy out and they tell you what you can and can't do. The sermon from the holy men, Mark and Uncle Terry. You've got the. I mean, I am playing, but there is something about people think that religion is something that sets me apart or above other people, and I think that generally, as human beings, we all live in religious ways. It just depends where we turn our attentions and our hearts, really. And you see that in this. So people think that I'm better than everybody else because
in the V50 category, you are.
No, not in that type of better. No, not in that. But like you were talking about pride a couple of weeks ago, but like somehow that I'm, and some people play up to that as well. They like to think that's who I am, but it really isn't. I just feel like I'm more of a normal guy. This is what I think God's called me to do. So I think that's one of the misconceptions, that somehow I think I'm above other
and that
people.
you could say the wrong thing to you. Like,
yeah, totally.
And if perhaps you don't believe in God, then you'd be like, well,
you go around and like, you better not say that. The vicar's here, they might let a swear word out, and it's like, if you only knew if any of my mates see this from way back, they'll, they could sink me straight away because everybody's had a life, and that's not what I don't present as the perfect person.
I think it's a little bit, in some ways, I don't know, maybe I'm grasping at straws a bit, but a little bit like being a parent and how you present yourself to your child. And your child is never going to see you as you because you're mum or dad. And they ask you a question, you think, they're like, Mum, have you been to a pub, Mum? And I go,
yeah. Yeah, completely. Yeah. We are missing that now.
I've passed one. I've passed
I
one.
think Dad used to have a couple of beers and things like that. Have you ever tasted beer? And yeah, it's completely that. But it is a public role as well, so you can't go the other way and be carrying on and being stupid, or you have to sort of. There's a balance, but I think people sometimes just think, he thinks he's perfect or he should be perfect, and that, I think they're probably the sort of misconceptions. Yeah.
Before we ask you to share what you shared at the Lakeland 50 and 100, I've got one more question for you. Maybe it's a bit deep, but what do you think is, and this is often what we get round to at the end of podcast interviews as well, when people have had big journeys in running, what do you think is one of the most important lessons you've learned in life? And do you think the lessons that we learn in running help our everyday life? And you're probably the most educated and qualified person to answer this that we've ever had on the podcast.
No, I don't think I am. I think the most important lesson in life is to be vulnerable with yourself and to others, to allow others to see who you truly are. Because, again, it relates back to what we were talking about at the Lakeland 100, about the power of community and connection and relationship. And if you don't allow yourself to be vulnerable in that, you're really missing the whole depths of all of that stuff. And running, you can't avoid feeling vulnerable, can you? Because when you push yourself, you know that you're not bulletproof, I suppose. And so a day in, day out, you're like, can I do this? Do you think I can actually do this? This is going to hurt. I don't want to do this.
And so every day, even
an internal dialogue, but it just reminds you that you really is a great leveler, isn't it? So I think that's probably the best lesson.
And it's something I say to my athletes a lot as well. I often say, when you verbalise your vulnerability when you're out on the trails that perhaps you'd never do in real life as well, tell people, I don't feel I can do this. Or if another runner comes up next to you and you start going, it's 10 miles in, you've got 268 miles ahead of you, and you're like, I feel a bit tired. Oh my God, I feel a bit tired too. The sharing of the vulnerability is huge as well. Talking about it, instantly you feel like, I'm not alone. I'm not alone in this.
That was a real revelation of the trail running community. So I was sort of more of you would never do that in a road race,
You wouldn't go to Sainsbury's to the checkout lady and go, I'm not feeling this mashed potato tonight.
Yeah, I might do that. But in the running community, in the trail running stuff, there's this it's like a different type of running community where there's this sense of like we're all in it together.
This is so horrendous. Please don't make me do it.
There is competitive, and there will be competition, and there will be, trying to beat the person in front of you, etc. But there's just this sense of we're in this together, and we'll help each other. And I love the way that this sort of sharing of wisdom and gleaning just any little tip you can, like put a bit of Vaseline on the back of your, heel or whatever it is, and
your pack's not done up, or you
don't get that in. I never felt like you got that in kind of like road running and stuff like that. It was much more.
You can't talk in road running too, because
dog eat dog. You just want to beat the person in front of you. So yeah, I love that about it.
It's fascinating because quite often road runners are trail runners too, but there's different rules. It's crazy. There's different rules on the trails. I love that vulnerability, how even though you can hurt and the memories are painful, you still go back to the well. I can't understand why sometimes, but yeah, you just go back again and again.
I've never done an ultra. It's 2 hours is when my lights go out, really, 2 to 3 hours, and then I'm...
We can put you in touch with a good fueling company that can sort that out and take a few more gels. We can get you to 6 hours, probably.
Do you reckon?
15% off with a discount code.
Okay. Maybe I should try it. I don't know. Gemma's sort of laughing at me, really. She's like, you're scared to do it. You're scared to do it.
Yeah. Now you've been on this podcast. We'll wait. Lakeland 50. We're going to see you. I know it. Gary, you've been desperate to ask this question.
Anyone would think I deliberately put it into last week's podcast because I knew.
I did.
We knew Lawrence was going to be listening, so we're like, we better make him think that we're having these deep discussions. Gary, you talked about What was it? Why were you proudful?
Well, it was A levels. I think that's what really brought it to my forefront. It was A levels, and I'm not criticizing anybody. My goodness me, how you walk the walk is completely up to you. But I was very mindful about sharing Esme's success with her A levels and using the word proud. And I didn't really want to do it because I'm not religious, but I was aware that pride is a sin. But I was very conscious that there's probably some boy or girl out there who, again, we've talked about want and need, didn't get what they needed at that moment in their life. So I really didn't want to express my pride and potentially trigger or upset somebody else. And that's maybe why I thought that pride was a sin. I could be completely wrong. I don't know.
I don't think it's a sin, Gary, what you're talking about. I think Eddie nailed it as well the other week. It's about what's in your heart, really, isn't it? So you're humbly saying, I wouldn't want to assert some sort of superiority over somebody else because of your daughter's results. And I think that's exactly the right attitude. So when Jem finished the 100 in Coniston, I couldn't stay in the village. I was literally bawling. I was so proud of her. And the kids were like, "What's wrong, Dad?" And I was like, "There's something in my eye, there's something in my eye." And we had to run right up the road to get away from everybody because I was like, "Oh." And I was just so proud. But, there's nothing wrong with that. But then I don't do a massive sort of flex about how wonderful she's better than everyone else. So I think, funnily enough, this week's readings in church are talking about pride. So I've been thinking a little bit about it. And somebody wrote, all evil begins with an attempt to assert superiority. What you're talking about in a very small level is that the pride where you're trying to make yourself feel superior and better than someone else. Like we all know as runners, you can do that quite easily just by overtaking them and dropping them.
That's why I do Gary every time I can.
So I don't think there's anything wrong with competition, but I think it's, I think you're absolutely right that there's something about just having a degree of humility, but celebrating one another and our family, definitely. I think you're all right. May the Lord bless you,
relax.
Lord has blessed you, Gary. I like that though, and I think maybe people that think about like the way we post on social media, how we post achievements, others' achievements, could be like, what am I trying to get from this? What is the meaning behind this action?
Can you celebrate others?
Yeah.
Can you celebrate others? Maybe you compete against week in, week out. We all have rivals, don't we? Like I turn up for parkrun and, there's that person who's always just in front of me. And
that guy in the red shorts, he's always just in front of me.
Keep away from those types. Yeah.
Well, last week's guest, Robbo, we are rivals, but yeah.
But you're a lovely connection, you don't want to do each other down in any way, do you? If you can beat him, you'll beat him. But, okay. But the connection's it's that vulnerability thing again, isn't it? The connection is much more important.
Oh, fantastic.
We might need you on speed dial, Lawrence, for like every time
That's
again.
Right.
And we'd be like, can we talk about, what do we think? Quick, ring Lawrence. What's happened?
Welcome.
What do you think? No, guys, this is not good.
There are some things I'd steer away from, but I think you're okay there, yeah.
You're okay. Should we do the quick five?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Number one's mine, which I love.
Is there a banging hymn? What's the floor filler at church?
Is there a banging hymn? There are one or two banging hymns.
Go on, share. What's the number? I remember number 362 at school. If it was number 362, get it in.
Stuff like that. On Easter Sunday, we always sing "Thine be the glory." That's a kind of that's the one. But for me, "Amazing Grace" is we're considering my story in Amazing Grace. It says, the moment I first believed, or something like that, and it takes me right back every time I sing it to that moment where I was like, I'm crying out to God. And though I didn't really know what was happening, I definitely believed in that moment, and it takes me right to that. So I don't know if it'll fill the floors, but that's my favourite.
Okay, next question. Favourite fell or summit?
The first thing that comes into my mind, and I don't know why I think this, but Bow Fell. But I don't know why, because it's a terrible summit to run on. And I've been lost up there and gone down the wrong valley and all sorts of things. But yeah, both fell.
But it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor for life, surely, that it's never the same. It's always tricky.
It's like, where the heck am I? If you get to the top, it's like brilliant.
Oh, it's always a sigh of relief when you get to the top of Bull Fell. It's
yeah. I don't go there that often, and I've definitely been off the wrong way and got lost and think I'm going to die, and both fell. Yeah.
Classic. Oh, signature gist time. Eddie and I, we've all been on the fells actually, and we
fell, got lost. You brought us down the wrong way. I'm raging. We're not talking.
What's on the menu? What's on the menu, Lawrence?
Well, if you turn up at the new vicarage in Grasmere, it's pretty limited. We've got 4 kids.
That is quite likely to happen.
Handy, yeah. If I feel a scraping at the door, it's not the Grim Reaper. Were you with us, Gary, when we were in Grasmere when we did the Lakeland? Had you joined us then?
No, I missed you.
And it was so wet and horrible, and nothing was open, and we were so sad. But now I know the vicarage is always open.
Our menu is pretty restricted for young children. You're just going to have... I think you like this, because I seem to remember, Eddie, I don't know about you, Gary, but it's bangers and mash and beans.
Classic.
It is. Do you
the kids will eat that as well.
Yeah, kids will everyone will eat that. Do you do a bit of gravy with that?
Yeah, or is it gravy if you want, or just beans, whichever. I prefer gravy, yeah.
If I lived in Grasmere, I think I'd eat gingerbread ice cream every day if I lived in Grasmere.
It's an expensive habit. We've already got a problem with the Grasmere gingerbread.
Yeah, 4 ice creams. I'm always like, when I've got 3 and I'm like, I don't know what it is.
20 quid?
Yeah, when you're like, in France, it's like 1 boule. What do you ask for? A scoop. A scoop. And I'm like, just 1 scoop.
One scoop. Yeah, we're on that.
Oh.
We're not made of money.
I know.
Cats or dogs? Do you prefer cats or dogs? Do you have a dog, Lawrence?
Not at the moment. We have had dogs before, We're just waiting for the kids to get a bit older. And
Grasmere calling out that vicarage.
It's on the agenda.
It's a patter of little Patterdale claws.
We had a little terrier before. He was the best one, Harry, and we still miss him. But we've had a couple of others since then. But dogs every time. No cats.
Dogs every time.
Sorry.
That's good. We knew you were going to say dogs.
Okay, it's Instagram story music every week. Yeah, we share the podcast over on Instagram, Facebook, maybe somewhere else, but you get the choice of the song, Lawrence.
I've gone for Stormzy.
Oh yeah.
Stop it.
Yes. Blinded by Your Grace. And it says in there, and it speaks to me every time, it says, Lord, I've been broken. Although I'm not worthy, you fixed me. I'm blinded by your grace. You came and saved me. And that works for me. Yeah.
Who knew Stormzy was a man of such a...
Yeah, it's interesting. You'd be surprised. Yeah, that's mine. Yeah. The other one I can't remember what it's called, but it goes, what's that coming over the hill? Is it a monster? And especially when Gemma was talking about hallucinating and stuff. I was like, maybe that would do, but no.
That's what the kids sing to me, because they say I'm like a monster when I run up the hill.
Right.
Fantastic. Oh, brilliant. Well, thanks for your time today, Lawrence. But before we go, if you could recreate the moment, Lakeland 100 briefing.
And I was sitting on the floor, cross-legged. Oh, I've got to get my CBD all on my knees for that.
I couldn't sit down. I was like in pain, but okay. Let's just take a moment to pause, and I'll read this to you. We give thanks for our health and good fortune that we are able to tackle the challenge which lies ahead. We give thanks to our friends and family who have supported us throughout the preparation, and we will give them the greatest reward by seeing it through to the end. We will run for those who are no longer with us and those who are no longer able to tackle the course. But we will carry them with us mile after mile, and they will give us strength in times of difficulty. We will run with our Lakeland family, those who stand to my left and those who stand to my right, knowing that should I fall, my brothers and sisters will raise me up and carry me to the finish, and they should know that I will do the same for them. We will stand shoulder to shoulder and know that together we are far more powerful than we are alone. We have trained together, we will run together, and on Sunday we will celebrate our victories together. The road ahead will be challenging, but we will not fear what lies ahead. We will not look back or dwell on the past. We will only focus on the present moment and know that right now it is enough. So a blessing. May the trail rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, the rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Amen.
That was wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lawrence, for not only
Privileged
sharing
to be with you.
Well, what a privilege to hear that, but also sharing your journey and your thought. We could have talked all day, but your need is much greater than ours. But honestly,
no, loved
really,
it.
Really big thank you, and hopefully our paths will cross over sausages and mash in Grasmere. I'll let you settle in yet. I'll let you find your frying pan, and then you'll hear a light knocking and a squelching. Thank you.
Cheers, Gary. Take care.
Cheers. Take care. Thanks, Lawrence. I love that. Thanks.
Cheers.
Thank you so much, Lawrence, for coming on the podcast and sharing your journey with us. And no doubt now a celebrity vicar around the Lake District, everybody will be high-fiving, saying, I heard you on the podcast. You were great. He was great. And we are so privileged, as you said before, Gary, making new friends everywhere we go. Thank you for sharing your story and also sharing those lovely words of Mark's at the end as well.
Thanks, Phoenix Light, for sponsoring our Strava Club and Tales from the Trail section. Don't forget, patrons can enjoy 10% off over at phoenixlight.co.uk. First up is Jason Davies' request to follow Jason. So we can't see what you've been up to, but 73.9 miles for the week with the longest run of 32.9 at 24,409 feet. I wonder if that was a 50k race or a 50k training race, or he just had some super big, long training run. Yeah, really curious, Jason. But either way, 24,500 feet. Oof, heavy flex. Well, we've got some serious heavy flexes coming up here. Ian Warrington, Dragon's Back race. Look at those stats. 241 miles for the week. Longest day of 45.7 miles. 58,219 feet. Oof. Kudos, Ian. Yeah, see you at the Lakeland 100 next year. Another one going for a slate. There's going to be so many. If we all have great days, there's going to be so many of us on the stage. Can't wait. Sarah Lund next up. Hatchling. And I hope you don't mind us sharing Sarah, but Sarah missed the cutoff. I think it might have been day one by 23 seconds. Dragon's Back race is brutal. And they do warn you, it's not, I know some races have a cut-off, Lakeland 100, I know they have a cut-off, and I see some people coming in at the end past the cut-off. I know it's up to each race is individual, but how do you feel? Yeah, you all for a strict cut-off?
I am just glad I don't have to be the person. I wouldn't grumble, Gary. I would not, you and I'd be useless.
I'll be like, go on. It's okay. I'd stop me watch.
I couldn't do it. But it's got its place, and I know a lot of people that perhaps haven't met the cutoffs will come back. And I love that. I love I knew I wasn't strong enough. I knew I was struggling, and I've come back and I'm going to do it again. And there's a lot of that in the Dragon's Back race, I think, and things that are hard and you don't achieve first time. Sometimes there's a reason, and then the second time, oh, that's sweeter. So
either way, 135.9 miles for the week with the longest day of 33.3 and 36,204 feet. Apologies, Sarah. Yeah, if you didn't want us to share that. Heavy flex, though, to all the dragons and hatchlings. And Sarah was a hatchling. Apologies, I didn't give you that bit of detail. She did get a little baby dragon there. And everyone else towing the line last week. So many races, too many people to mention. But it was awesome. I really loved seeing one of my 2023 tent mates go back this year and complete the full Dragon's Back race. Heavy flex goes to Andrea Harwood. A 4-year journey for Andrea. Kudos. Kudos to all our Strava Club members. And if you'd like to be in with a chance of a random shout out, then pop over to Strava, search for Tea and Trails, join our Strava Club. Tales from the Trails.
This is just a short Tears from the Trails this week, and I thought people would be interested. Dave Sparks, he found your comment. The pilot love a pilot. Want to share any air miles with us? Not maybe not with Gary. He doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to go flying anywhere.
How awesome would it be though if either of us found ourselves on the plane that Dave was piloting?
Wrapping in that little cockpit seat.
Room for a little one, Dave.
Press that one. Can I press that one? Hey, let's see, Dave. Ask the air hostess. Press the button. He said, if anyone is interested or cares how the altimeter on a watch works, Gary mentioned his showing 8,000 feet on a plane when up cruising above 30,000 feet. It was working properly. The watch uses pressure altitude calculated via a little built-in altimeter. It's one of the tiny holes around the watch. Airplane cabins are normally pressurized to about that altitude, hence the reading. If they were at 37,000 feet pressure altitude, everyone would pass out and die. Not an ideal scenario for airline. Don't imagine that, Gary. It's not true. It won't happen. I fly them. That's probably why I find it interesting and have compared my watch readout to the cabin setting. It is pretty accurate. Oh my gosh, we love that every day.
So that's why your ears still pop, because 30,000 feet is still a big pressure change. But yeah, I love the dates. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. We always love a bit of educational sharing as well. Thanks again, Phoenix Light, for sponsoring Tales from the Trails. We've got a number in the inbox waiting like little puppies to be let out and read. But if you've got a story, perhaps a story over the summer, or a story that you're not sure, if you think I'm not sure I should ever share this, that means it needs to be sent to us immediately. Email to hello@tntrails.com.
I was so pleased when I checked Apple Podcasts for the reviews this week. Well, it's not from Finland, but it's from a Finnish listener. Kiitos. That's the extent of my Finnish, actually. Thank you. I think, well, no, ei kiitos. Ei kiitos is no thank you, and kiitos is thank you. That's about as far as I go. You guys rock. I've wanted to send this so many times, so here goes. I'm a 49-year-old park run kind of jogger and a big fan. And with all the hours of listening, surely soon to be the most well-prepared theoretical trail marathoner there ever was. I trained for the Great North Run and broke an arm. Oh my goodness. And I've twice cancelled doing Manchester Marathon because of COVID and injury. Oh, rotten luck. My goodness me. And still, I aspire to go for one day. And gosh, I never knew that there were events where you can eat the odd pie instead of watching the clock so much. I never miss an episode, and listening to the podcast is massively helping me ease myself back to running with proper strength training alongside it for once. I've learned a ton of stuff. The coaches are wise, and your guests have brought me to tears and laughter. So many wise words, and what an inspiration you both are. Thank you for letting us into your lives, highs and lows, and the weekly stats. Heavy flex. And an extra shout out to the mentions of my original homeland, Finland. Oh, keep up the awesome work. Katri. Kiitos, Katri. Thanks for that. That made my day. All the 5-star reviews made my day. But yeah, that one was a little bit special. Thanks. What's coming up? What does your week look like?
I just don't have time to breathe at the moment. What the hell is going on with life? How? Why? I honestly think I might just stop running. I think
Wash your mouth out, Sutton. I don't like.
I don't have any time. I don't have any time, and then I think, but the time I do have, I can carve out a couple of hours a day to go running, but. So that sounds such a luxury. It's not a couple of hours, but by the time even an hour's run, by the time you've done the run, I've had a cup of tea, I've showered. It all takes time. I didn't do that.
I need to delete all social media. Imagine how much time I just get drawn into this.
I don't have the social media on my phone. And so I don't spend any. So where can I can't find any more time. You and I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning now that my routine has slightly changed. And what do I do in that hour and a half before I get the kids up? Well, I just do the laundry, the washing up, the clearing up, the getting the kids, checking the kids a bit. Like I do a bit of work, and so I find a little bit more time in my day then. But then the rest of the day,
are you wrecked during the day? Because I'm pooped.
I just keep going, but I wonder how sustainable that is. And then I think, well, I'll have a nap. But my day just so now it's 3:20, and I am haven't even really started. The bones of my day, and then but the thing is, by then 7:30 the kids are back home, I've done tea, I'm done. Always think, I'll do another hour. I wish I had, and everybody will, I get this, I just wish I had more time, but where can I get more time from? Get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. It's all just a lot.
I can't understand. Like, literally, I've not been to the gym since Lakeland 100, like to do lift weights. Why? Where's that time gone? What have I filled it with? I'm not running as much. I don't understand.
Now I'm looking at the time going, I've got to get to the gym before I get the kids. And it's going to be trying to cram it into half an hour. It's not going to be ideal. It's coming to terms with the fact that nothing is this ideal model. But who sets this ideal model? Why does it need to be ideal? You know, it's not going to be ideal, but I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep trying. And what am I going to achieve? I'm not sure. Get more and more tired. But I'm a big believer in being, kids see what I'm doing. I will carry on trying my best. I can only do my best. And just keep plugging away, hoping that things will click and I'll be running I look at my running, go, I'll go whine about it.
Your podiatrist said you're sensational. Never seen anyone better.
Yeah, but I can't run very fast. Yeah, those butt cheeks engaging. Anyway, I can only do my best, so I shall carry on this week doing my best. I've done a gym. I haven't done any workouts this week because I've had that hasn't helped. I've had a filthy cold. And because I'm single parenting, I have just had to carry on with life. There can't be any and kids going snotting everywhere. Everyone's had this cold. So I haven't needed to do any workouts because every run I've done, my heart rate's been like. I get really thirsty though when you can't breathe through your nose and you're just doing a jog, and I'm like, oh my God, get me back to that bottle of electrolyte. Anyway, this week has all just been about showing up, and I'll carry on showing up. I'm hoping I get a long run in. I'm kind of pushed my work. I've done a Gary Classic. I've pushed my workout hopefully to Sunday. So it's all gonna fit in at the end of the week. But there's no point trying to do a workout when you've got a cold because you can't. I would literally explode, and I'd only feel worse as well. Try not to get bogged down into the minutiae of everything and just tick it off. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. It's not the end of the world. I think it's that time of the year. Everybody wants stuff done. Everybody wants answers. But it's a privileged place to be in. So let's.
Oh, goodness me, yeah. What am I up to? Well, yeah, I am. Solidarity with you, Eddie. Joining the 5 a.m. club. I tell a lie.
The podcast at 5 a.m.
Oh, you wouldn't get the best. My energy's pretty low anyway, so 5 o'clock Gary is not. There's not much coming off.
A couple of times Bryn got up early too, and I'm like, no, go away. This is like quiet. I don't even want the radio on. I just. Are you
out of bed at 5 or your alarm's 5?
Alarm is 5. Out of bed about 5. Straight into clothes, get straight up, and then downstairs, 2 cups of tea made, and then I start my jobs. That is the same with the jobs I do at 7 o'clock at night, jobs that don't require brain power, but just movement. I
did feel like I achieved quite a lot today because so I was up at 5:15, then I had a lovely cup of tea waiting for me when I went downstairs because Lisa was about. But I can only do a dog walk. There's no way I'm going to do a run at that time in the morning.
No, I wouldn't.
And it's really good because there's not much going on. So Rex's anxiety, it's a good space for Rex, that kind of night. It feels like nighttime at the moment. It's nice to see the sun come up. But a 5 a.m. run, that fills me with dread. But yeah, today, so I was editing the podcast for this week's show, which you are listening to, if that makes sense. But I'd say I looked at the clock at 9 o'clock, which is technically, I suppose, when the working day starts for most people. And I'd done quite a lot of work, so I was pretty chuffed with that. So yeah, fingers crossed. We'll see how long the motivation. It's not like I started this in the summer. If we started this in June and you were waking up in daylight, then you'd roll into winter.
It's bed early though, and this is what I'm struggling with now. Is because by 8:30 I want to be in bed.
Yeah.
And my teenagers don't want to be in bed at 8:30.
Well, that's it. My judgy watch is saying 6.5 hours sleep, 7 hours sleep, and that is not good. I need 8.5 at least. But yeah, taper time. Like I said earlier, the taper volume is greater than the previous 4 weeks. It's just the way it goes. I think it's healthy. You're just forced to deal with things. Like I said, I've previously been quite a selfish runner, so this is healthy. This is healthy for me. Trip to the lakes probably is too close as far as any gains for the 13 Valleys fitness wise. But what I am hoping for, like a mental boost, because the thought, I think I ran for The longest run I've done is probably I've done 2 10-mile runs, so whatever that is, say 90 minutes. That is the extent of my running. So these 2 trips to the lakes, it could be around 40 odd miles in 2 days with some serious elevation. Mentally, I need that boost that, I can drag that those cinnamon buns and the cheese up those hills. It'd be interesting to see if I've got DOMs on the Wednesday. Yeah, can't wait. But so taper time, not a lot. There's no point in start going down the gym now. It'll be what it'll be.
Are you going to wear the red shorts, or are the glutes not in that sort of shape?
I'm not going to wear the red shorts, but I am going to be compressed. The guys at Beat a Run, they're a distributor for BB Sports, who do lots of nice compression stuff. So they're sending me a pair out to test. Hopefully, I think maybe I just ordered a size too small. I saw the guy I think he won the Great North Run. He had some red shorts, and I didn't think he looked too bad. So maybe I needed to go up half a size for my red shorts. But it probably will be compression shorts if I like what BB Sports have to offer. Yeah, we will see. And going forward, a little adjustment. Well, it's always a bit loosey-goosey. If life takes over and we can't put the podcast out when we want to. But instead of it going out Friday morning, probably going to put it out Friday evening around 7 p.m. UK. Just gives us a little bit more time if something should go wrong.
It's a lot to put together, isn't it? And it means if we have Friday as a day, it gives us Thursday as a little extra day. We both got other things to do. I've got a lot to do, and no one's really sure what Gary does, but he does something in the background. And so if it just means we have a little bit more flexibility. So apologise if it's your Friday morning. Maybe go back, leave it 1 week, and then you'll always have one but it will be there.
Still be there Friday. For your long run of the weekend, though. That's the plan.
It'll be there for your long run. Don't worry, everybody. You've got at least episode 87. We said we'd do 100. You've got 13 left. Then we're going to triple Patreon. Jokes. Don't come at me.
They'll be coming at you, Eddie.
They'll be coming at me. Thanks for tuning in, and thank you all so much for sticking and listening to the bitter end. Please share. Pop over to YouTube, like, subscribe. We're here for it all. That's how we grow, and we keep showing up week after week with our wines and woes, but we love it really. Thanks to Precision Fuel and Hydration, X Miles, Phoenix Light, and Protein Rebel for sponsoring this week's show. Remember, the new customer codes, it's T15 for Protein Rebel and all caps lock T24 Precision Fuel and Hydration. Thank you to all our partners and patrons too. And we never thank them, but we should really thank all the podcast guests we've had on over the years as well, the hundreds and hundreds of people that have given up their time to talk to the podcast. We love you, and we couldn't do this without you and your ongoing support.
Be kind to your future self. Breathe and believe. Progress, not perfection. Take time in all you do. And remember, there is always time for a cup of tea and a chat. Let the trail rise up and meet you, and the wind always be on your back. My name is Gary Thwaites.
And I'm Eddie Sutton.
And that was episode 87 of the Tea and Trails podcast.